India's mission to become net zero by 2070 is poised to lead the nation on a path to clean, green and sustainable economic development. Guided by the government's vision to make India energy independent, News 18 network has partnered with Tata Power for Sustainable is Attainable, a special initiative that will raise mass awareness to build a sustainable future and initiate conversations involving businesses, governments, the civil society to help India achieve carbon neutrality. Welcome to India Energy Bulletin, a show where we bring you the latest news, policy, developments and technological advancements that are driving India's sustainable growth agenda. So let's talk today about the transport sector, which alone accounts for 18% of India's total energy consumption. The sector is responsible for an estimated 142 million tons of CO2 emissions annually, out of which 123 million tons are contributed by the road transport segment alone. So what's the solution? Two words: electric vehicles. The Council on Energy, Environment and Water in its 2020 report has quantified that if EVs could garner a 30% market share of new vehicle sales by 2030, India can increase job creation, improve energy security, reduce greenhouse gas emissions and pollutant emissions as well, while reducing travel costs for users. September 9 is World EV Day, a global movement to drive change and to celebrate the transition to sustainable transport choices. Today's episode will focus on ushering in the EV wave and drive conversations to move towards sustainable mobility. The Union Ministry of Power has announced revised consolidated guidelines and standards for charging infrastructure for EVs. This move is expected to enable a faster adoption of electric vehicles in India by ensuring safe, reliable, accessible and affordable charging infrastructure and ecosystem. This is also intended to promote energy security and reduce carbon emission by promoting the entire EV ecosystem. These guidelines include provisions for individual owners of EVs or for public charging stations. Now, the guidelines have been made technology agnostic by providing for not only prevailing international charging standards, but also new Indian charging standards. The guideline states that tariff for supply of electricity to public EV charging stations shall be a single part tariff and not exceed the average cost of supply. This is till 31st March 2025. State governments to fix the ceiling of service charges, and any public charging station or chain of charging stations may obtain electricity from any generation company through open access. Bureau of Energy Efficiency is set to create and maintain a national online database of all public charging stations. India's electric mobility story is rapidly evolving, and as per a KPMG report, India is set to have 5 crore EVs by 2030. This is expected to bring a huge opportunity for EV charging players. To accelerate adoption of electric vehicles and ease range anxiety, the government is planning to launch a super app. The app to provide location and availability of charging stations. Globally, 4.2 million electric vehicles were sold in the first half of this year, a 63% growth from the same period last year. China alone witnessed the sale of 2.4 million EVs, marking a 26% growth compared to 2021. Now, India needs to set up to 46,000 EV stations by 2030 to match the global benchmark. There is one charger per 135 EVs in India compared to 6 in China and Netherlands and 19 for the US. And according to a report by ICRA, investment in cell manufacturing is expected to exceed $9 billion, that is around 70,000 crore rupees by 2030 in India. Battery manufacturing segment remains a critical cog in the overall development of the EV ecosystem. And under Phase 2 of FAME India scheme, the Government of India has sanctioned 2,877 electric vehicle charging stations in 68 cities across 25 states and union territories. Now, to understand how India is gearing up for faster adoption of electric mobility, rapid development of EV ecosystem and innovative solutions to push for EV, we are now being joined by Sudhendu Sinha, who is the Advisor, Infrastructure, Connectivity and Electric Mobility, Niti Aayog. Mr. Sinha, thank you so much for joining us in the show, sir. Now, let's start by asking, because the big push or how India really is pioneering a new model of economic development that could avoid the carbon-intensive approaches and provide a blueprint for other developing economies as well. What are your thoughts on this?
You know, India has got a phenomenal role because we are aware that internationally, whatever pollution is generated, in a way we have got some say 7% contribution to it. is from India. That is itself is phenomenal, and that is the reason why we are going full blow, full throttle in trying to kind of create a situation whereby the carbon footprints can be reduced, the sources of energy could be more from the renewables, the energy basket can be diversified, and we are able to kind of move towards a very low carbon print kind of economies. That is what the aspiration is. And you are aware that during COP26, Prime Minister himself said that we are going to be net zero by 2070. Within the country also, different organizations, different transport systems, many of them, they have committed that we will be achieving that net zero target much earlier. And very recently on 5th of June, Prime Minister on the Climate Day, he gave a movement called LIFE, that is lifestyle for environment. The idea being that, everybody should have a kind of contribution, should have a responsibility, accountability, and contributions to make towards creating that sort of environmental standards that we want to aspire for. So he is attempting to create a sort of movement that is precisely, and that is having its reflections in economy. Many of the provisions of budget, they are focusing on low carbon footprint kind of models. A lot of initiatives are definitely going on, ma'am.
Well, with the large automotive industry and pollution issues, how is India ripe for innovation and rapid adoption of EVs in times to come?
Okay, as far as electric mobility is concerned, let me tell you that we have got a national mission on transformative mobility and battery storage that is housed at NITI Aayog. Now, in addition to that, in 2018 Global Move Summit, Prime Minister laid down that what are the contours, what are the parameters or that future mobility will have, that a clean mobility should have. So, he talked of the connected, the clean, charged, cutting edge, common, convenient, 7 C's primarily with respect to mobility. So, that was his idea, that mobility should be very, very, it should be clean, it should be as if life becomes very easy out there in the urban as well as rural areas. That has been there. In the electric mobility front, number of phenomenal initiatives we have already taken, we are in the process of implementation, and we are stipulating all three of them. That is the reason why internationally India is one of the few countries that is taking its electric mobility plan in an absolutely structured way. So, that is the first phenomenal thing. And second is the pace with which we are moving, that itself is phenomenal. As far as visibility is concerned, it will take some time, you see, but still the numbers speak that it is going in a very big way. In addition to adopting this global mobility, the aspiration is that India must be the global manufacturing hub as far as electric vehicles, battery and storage systems and the electric vehicle components are concerned. We should be a kind of global hub, and that is how precisely it is being taken forward.
So, according to you, what could the barriers be to this widespread adoption of electric vehicles in India, and what measures do we need to take to increase the penetration of EVs?
Awareness is the first one. So, more and more awareness initiative is required that we are working ahead with. That is one thing. The second is, as I said, that one barrier is that of finance is still a barrier, and as far as the adoption is concerned, one of the barrier is that of the charging infrastructure. How to precisely proliferate this charging infrastructure so that the issue of range anxiety no longer exists in the mind of the user. That is again one of the pieces. So, I would say that charging infrastructure, finance and awareness, these are some of the barriers. I would call them that we are addressing too. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Sinha, it was a pleasure speaking with you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on this special edition. And on that note, it's time to go into a break. When we return, we discuss how the private sector is playing a vital role to drive sustainable mobility. Stay tuned.